This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by Liquid IV. The 2024 Olympics are almost here, and with the Summer Games nearly in full swing, it's a reminder that hydration is important for athletes and fans, and Liquid IV offers extraordinary hydration for physical endurance, mental clarity, and overall well-being.
A single stick of Liquid IV delivers better hydration than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, making it the perfect companion for all your summertime activities, whether you're hitting the golf course, traveling, or if you're looking to recover after a long day.
So tear, pour, and live more and turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we've got an NXT review for you. But first, we're going to have a lengthy conversation about injuries and injury bugs and the real reason. According to PW Insider Report, according to some WWE superstars who think that AEW might not be wrestling enough. Larson, what's going on?
Yeah, so this is from PW Insider's Mike Johnson talking about, I guess, maybe the perception that the AEW is just getting overwhelmed by the injury bug. This is what Mike Johnson had to say. Quote, these transcripts come from Cultaholic. One thing that was regularly privately complained about during the Thunderdome era was that they found it a lot harder to perform when they were only competing on Mondays or Fridays or doing the SmackDown and the Raw tapings because they could not callous their bodies in the ring. Numerous top talents at WWE tell me they were actually very relieved when they were able to get back into the touring situation because it's actually easier on their body, because their body would never get a chance to sort of heal from the weekly beatings that they would get, and they would just get into the groove and be used to it. That was actually easier on the body than wrestling, having 5-6 days to heal and then wrestling again. They get into the ring and take bumps. They can get in the ring and do drills and do repetitions, things of that nature, but performing is a completely different animal. Continues. Many of them felt they were off quite a few steps at the beginning of the touring process because they had not been doing it. They actually relayed to me they felt it was easier to be wrestling full-time than it would be to wrestle once and then be off a week and wrestle again. I don't know if there's anything scientific to this, but there have been WWE talents who have told me they are not surprised at the high injury rate that sometimes happens in AEW because those talents are not consistently wrestling all the time in comparison to WWE talent. They are wrestling on Wednesday, and then maybe they're wrestling on a Saturday unless they're choosing to do independence. They're not doing anything else. So you and I ran some numbers.
We did run some numbers.
And so I just went to Wikipedia, because I assumed it'd be the easiest place I can get the most accurate and well, maybe not accurate, but
only
current,
the most accurate information.
Only the most accurate. Solo Sokoa, taller than Steve. Most current roster count plus injuries, and both for WB and AEW, there was a couple injuries not accounted for. So this is what I got. Out of 120 full-time main roster members, 11 are currently out injured. I'm not including people who are out for medical reasons.
Or pregnancies.
Or pregnancies, obviously. I also did not include Big E because that injury happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. I think the idea is regularly touring the injury rate versus what they do in AEW.
Yeah.
So out of 120 main roster talents, I have 11 out injured, which is an injury rate of a little bit over 9%. I think it's about 9.1%.
Yeah.
In AEW, again, didn't count for illness, so therefore no Kenny Omega. 156 full-time roster members. 14 currently out injured. Injury rate 8.9%. So both companies are dealing with an injury rate of roughly 9%.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's kind of wiggle room in these numbers because, like, I did my own independent numbers as well. I reached because I included NXT in the WWE. There's a lot of injuries in NXT,
Yeah.
so I think NXT brings it up to 11%. But like, you know, we'd have to sit here and like look at every single like situation because I feel like between 9 and 11%, like you're within, you know. That's not like a big variation right there, and I feel like the same could probably be said about AEW. I know you didn't account for a Ring of Honor talent, which, you know, there's various levels of like being signed to the company and levels of activity with the company.
Well, there's so much crossover too between the Ring of Honor roster and AEW roster. So in theory, some of those people who are wrestling on both shows are wrestling more than some people who are just wrestling on AEW exclusively.
Now, obviously, one thing to keep in mind also is you and I are not wrestlers, so it's not like we have our own opinion on what is better, informed by experience. What we can provide is shit that other wrestlers have said, including this PW Insider report. I remember an AEW contracted talent a while ago. I remember this is probably going back a year or two. But I do remember it because it was interesting to me. Dustin Rhodes had said that he wants to be wrestling a lot more because and using the same language there too, it calluses the body.
Yeah,
it gets the body in a routine of taking that abuse, and so it's easier to take. Or it feels better on the body, I guess.
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson had also said the same. He said, ideally, I'm wrestling like 10 matches a month, I think is what he had said in the past. And that stood out to me as well. So there does seem to be a philosophy at work where the more you wrestle to a degree, the easier it is on the body. But looking strictly by the numbers, at least in sort of a broad sense, it's not like we're looking at like a 10% difference. It's not like we're looking at AEW's got a 20% injury rate.
Doubles. One quick note here. I'm happy you included this link here from Fightful about wrestlers out injured because on Wikipedia they didn't have CM Punk listed as injured. He might be cleared by now, but officially he hasn't been, so therefore he's on the injury list. That brings up WWE's injury rate to 10% if you include Punk.
Yeah.
Anyways, that, you know, you could say is nebulous because he's basically recuperated from injury. Nonetheless, there's so much more that goes into it, I feel like, than just how often you're wrestling. It's what your body is used to, and if it's what your routine is. And if WWE wrestlers for years, you would think routines are powerful in terms of how your body reacts to them. And that's why a lot of athletes, especially top-level athletes, adhere to such strict routines because it's predictable. They know how their body's going to react to it versus breaking said routine. But if your routine is wrestling once, maybe twice a week, and that is what your body gets used to, I would think then your risk of injury is probably no higher than if your body is used to wrestling several days a week. Dustin Rhodes, for example, mention him, for the vast majority of his career was probably wrestling 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, and to get out of that routine, if he's able to adjust, that would imagine that would take time, just like any change of routine would. And it's I don't know, it's to simply say, oh, they work fewer dates, I think is to simplify the conversation, because another part of the conversation is how physical of matches do you wrestle on a regular basis?
Yeah.
And I think you would probably say that AEW and talents there wrestle more physical matches on a more regular basis than WWE wrestlers. By and large, on Raw and SmackDown, the wrestlers aren't going 100%. Not like they would on pay-per-view, for example. Yeah. AEW, a lot of the times, you can tell everybody's going pedal to the metal what the matches they're putting on TV. And I think that, then again, I'm not a wrestler.
Yeah.
I would think that might have more bearing on whatever, if there is, difference in injury rate would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whereas obviously at house shows, by and large, they're not going 100% WWE house shows in terms of the matches they're wrestling, you know?
That I think is probably just common sense. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think you need to be a wrestler to understand that.
Barring the occasional main event where they might have like a no-holds-barred match where there's tables involved, stuff like that.
I mean, at the same time, like, you know, being around a couple wrestlers here and there, you know, you hear terms like bump card.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, my bump card is filling up because they're older. And I don't know if that might be a factor as well. The idea that just off the top of your head, and I have no idea, I don't have it in front of me, but who do you think features a younger roster on their main roster? Because clearly, like, NXT would completely skew that.
Yeah.
But like in terms of main roster, I would think that WWE would probably skew older than AEW.
You would think so.
I mean, if you take Chris Jericho, you got to take some of these 50-plus-year-olds out of the equation. But I mean, I guess. You know.
Yeah, no, you'd think so. At least the perception is, viewing it from the outside, the AEW would probably, again, do some research, crunch some numbers.
Yeah, right.
Average out the age of the rosters. You would think AEW would have the younger roster.
I would think so. I mean, you think of guys, you know, the people they just signed, like Ospreay. I mean, Ospreay's 30 now, I guess, so it's not that
Okada's
young.
in his mid-30s.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Young Bucks are old. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's the same. You know what? It would not shock me if we did those numbers and it'd come out like roughly the same.
Yeah,
it'd
probably be within a couple years.
Within a couple percentage points of each other.
Because he's also in AEW. You got MJF. He's young. Daniel Garcia. He's young.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of wrestlers in AEW who are in their mid-20s.
Willow's young. Yeah.
Willow's young. Julia Hart's young. Sky Blue. Like, there's a lot of wrestlers who are in their early mid-20s on main roster AEW right now.
Yeah.
So,
did you include in your AEW numbers? Did you include Darby Allin?
Well, he just kind of seems to exist in a perpetual state of injured, you know.
Does a bus count? I don't think I wouldn't. I'd say bus is more of a medical situation than an injury in the ring.
He's wrestled since being hit by bus, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he had like one match since the bus, right?
Yeah, he did. He had the one match.
It's probably ill-advised.
Since breaking his foot and getting hit by bus, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of interesting to hear this stuff because it's really easy. It's really easy to frame it a certain way, which we probably will in the thumbnail because it gets clicks and everything. But then it always cracks me up. Like, this is a total tangent, but like, especially with that the episode we did about AEW and online negativity, I feel like there are some viewers out there who expect our thesis to be the title of
rather than a conversation starter, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not even. Here's the thing, the video that I'm talking about, the title wasn't even a declaration. It was literally a question. Is online negativity hurting AEW? And that was based off of a question that had been posed by those other guys, by Dave Meltzer, I think. And so it was like, oh, this is fun to have a conversation. Well, then there's like that section, and it's, you know, it's like the Cody Crybaby. It's like there's a section of audience who expects that, like, that's what we're saying.
Yes.
Not that's what we're discussing today. Because I think our general, you know, thesis by the end, our answer was like, no, not really. Bad booking and bad creative is what's hurting AEW. Or if anything it would be that. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting concept, but it's also, honestly, it's also one of those that is probably, you know, I'd be interested in hearing the other side of that.
Absolutely.
You know, like given that the injury bug seems to be fairly equitable between the two companies, it would be interesting to hear the other side of that. You know, what AEW wrestlers have to say about that, or wrestlers in general who have that really light schedule.
Yeah, I think it'd be especially interesting to get more of a sample size of wrestlers who, for a number of years, wrestled a lot. You know, we mentioned Dustin Rhodes, like Young Bucks, Jericho, even. You know, although Jericho's been, you know, through a pretty regular cycle, not of late, of taking time off anyways. So, I mean, he wrestled for a couple of years and take time off once he signed with WB. So maybe he wouldn't be a good study case in this regard. Mox, but Mox seemed to keep himself busy outside of AEW. The wrestlers who kind of been through the grind of the independents before going to AEW or in WWE for a good amount of time. Yeah. You know, men and women who have been out there and have experienced wrestling 3, 4, 5 days a week, and seeing if the new schedule, how their body handles it. Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah.
Hey, if there's like a scientist out there that wants to study that would be fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Write a paper
and see if you can calculate the injury rates of wrestlers who wrestle on a regular basis 3 or 4 days a week.
We'll run it through ChatGPT and give us like a 1-paragraph summary or like a 3-sentence. Yeah, run the paper through.
I thought you meant the premise, like you put the premise in ChatGPT and it spits out an AI report.
Let's try it.
I don't think that would be one that'd be necessarily publishable in scientific journals, Steve. And that's what I'm looking for. I want hard data.
All right, here we go.
I want the scientific method used to formulate a thesis.
Pro wrestling on a more regular basis versus pro wrestling periodically lead to more injuries. Let's see what chat. Oh, here we go. Oh man, the frequency of wrestling engagements can influence injury rates to some extent. Regular basis. Wrestlers who compete frequently may be prone to injury simply due to the increased exposure to physical strain, repetitive movements, and the potential for accidents during matches. Continuous physical exertion without adequate recovery time can also contribute to wear and tear on the body. Periodically, wrestlers who wrestle less frequently may have more time for recovery between matches, which can help reduce the risk of certain types of injuries that develop over time. However, injuries can still occur during any match due to the nature of the sport. In summary, so this ChatGPT seems to think that regular basis wrestlers are more prone to injury. It actually came to a conclusion.
That's interesting. I guess that's the case to be made. The more time you spend in the ring, the higher the chances are that you could get hurt, whether it's from some sort of significant injury or just wear and tear and continuous stress on the body. I understand that if someone was to make that argument with some hard data behind it, be like, okay, yeah, I get that totally.
The general consensus, like at least in the NBA, I would think especially in the NFL, is that rest is better than rust.
That's literally the reason they play 1 game a week in the NFL. Because if you played more than 1 day a week, careers would be like 2 seasons long, you know?
Yeah.
You play 1 day a week because the game is so physical. You need that time for your body to recuperate, especially considering you got to practice during the week too. There's a reason NBA players in the last few years are getting scheduled rest, because the season's longer with the additional playoff rounds. Like, it makes sense that rest is probably good for the body in recuperating. Now, I understand from a pro wrestling perspective, if they're of the mentality, the routine of wrestling on a somewhat daily basis, I feel like is good for me and how my body reacts to it. If that's good for them, I ain't going to tell them they're wrong, you know?
Yeah, right, yeah.
You would think the science, though, would probably indicate that rest and recuperation on a whole is good for the human body when you're exerting yourself in physical activities or sports.
Well, like, okay, this is anecdotal, not scientific.
Totally.
But like when you look at MJF, when they ran him into a story about wrestling too much, what happened?
He got hurt. He had like 5 injuries at one time. Yeah.
Yeah, like every injury imaginable within like 2 months of that story.
And when he wrestled once every 3 months, guess what?
He was fine.
Never hurt.
It was great. Came back with a new head of hair. It was awesome. But no, it's funny because whenever in the NBA, whenever you get around to the playoffs, they always try to bring up that narrative because, you know, there are some teams who will go 7 in a series. There's some teams who will sweep, and then they get like weeks more time before the next round.
And the narrative is, oh, they had too much time off, rust. Yeah.
Right, exactly. When it's like, well, no, I think that healing up is going to help them in the end. At the end of the day, like skill probably is 80% of it, and then the rest takes care of itself.
And they're still practicing nearly.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I would say nearly every day on a regular basis while they have that downtime.
It is interesting. The one quote in this PW Insider article was interesting to me. I mean, a lot of it was interesting, but the idea that there's nothing that really simulates properly an actual performance, an actual match. You know, it's like you go through the rounds in these matches, but they don't actually go full on until they're in front of a crowd, which makes all the sense in the world.
Oh, absolutely. Why would you go 100% when you're getting some ring work in, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. It's all pretty interesting stuff.
It is.
And I guess a debate if they're actual pro wrestlers. So, and here's the, I will say this right now. I swear to God, we have said multiple times during this conversation, or this 20-minute conversation, we are not pro wrestlers. Their perspective would be interesting to hear. And I guarantee there's gonna be people in the comments. You guys aren't wrestlers. How would you? We have said that.
Yes.
I'm just in a battle against imaginary commenters at this point, Larson.
We always are, man. Man, I'm going through this list of injuries here, Fightful, that you put in the notes, and they got things on there that Wikipedia left off. So don't take these numbers as gospel, people. This is just running some quick numbers.
Oh, are there other wrestlers on there?
Yeah, there's 2 AEW wrestlers that weren't listed as injured on Wikipedia that are.
Oh, which ones?
Dax and Ortiz.
That's right. And who?
Ortiz.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't even know.
So
about
guess what?
Ortiz.
Even adding those that I mentioned throughout the show, Punk on WWE, Dax and Ortiz, injury rate for both companies is still roughly 10%.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Boom.
Never mind. Let's pay some bills.
So I guess the point is, if you're a wrestler, there's a good 10% chance you're going to get injured, right?
Well, if you're in a major wrestling promotion, there's a good chance that 10% of your roster is going to be hurt at any given moment.
Right, exactly. So be prepared.
Be prepared.
Let's go ahead and pay some bills, Larson.
Let's do it. Let's take a break here, get a word from our sponsor, Liquid IV. The Summer Olympics are nearly here, Steve. I'm going to have 2 things on my mind while I watch the Team USA basketball squad in action. One, what do we got to do to make the team in 2028? You know, we play a lot.
Yeah, probably a lot. Probably de-age ourselves by a good 30 years.
And 2, hydration is key for world-class athletes and those of us watching at home.
Yeah, man, that's right. And while we're both probably long shots to make the U.S. hoops team in 4 years, unless there's like a 50-plus league, we can get gold. Well, that's a big 3. We can get gold medal hydration for our one-on-one basketball games with Liquid IV. A single stick of Liquid IV delivers better hydration than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients. And while Liquid IV is awesome for our one-on-one contests, man, it's also great for mental clarity and just overall well-being.
It is. And honestly, Liquid IV is an essential, I say an essential part of our semi-weekly hoops games. I don't think we could play 2 hours of basketball in this Northern California heat without drinking Liquid IV. In fact, just yesterday, we played 2 hours of basketball in near 100-degree temperatures in that afternoon heat. And thanks to Liquid IV, I was able to recover enough to play 2 more hours of basketball last night. Liquid IV is also the ideal companion for all your summertime activities, whether you're traveling, working out, or hitting the golf course.
So tear, pour, and live more with America's #1 powdered hydration brand, and turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com.
All right, before we get into our NXT recap, we had a super chat we missed yesterday.
Oh, yeah. From
asking for our Heatwave star ratings. Of course, we gave our Money in the Bank star ratings.
Yeah, right.
Over at Friendo Club Wrestling, but we didn't do our NXT star ratings.
Okay.
So we could do those real quick, yeah.
I'm going to do that impromptu.
Yeah. Write these
rated.
matches out real quick.
All right, what's our star rated musical intro?
We don't have a musical intro for this.
Come on, man. Improv, baby.
We're gonna rate some matches. Give them some stars.
All the stars.
Be hot and fresh, unlike those other guys.
That didn't rhyme.
It doesn't have to rhyme, Steve.
Oh, yeah. All right. So where do you want to start? What match?
Let's start with the first match of the main card. That'd be Wesley versus Obafemi. Steve, what'd you give this one?
I really liked the match, but it was also very simple. It was just Obafemi throwing Wesley around a lot. I say 3.5 stars.
Okay, I was going to go 3 3/4. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun.
At no point did I think Wesley had any chance.
No, zero chance.
Solruka.
Taking on Kalani Jordan. This match was super fun. Again, all the matches in this card were really good.
Yeah, they were.
I'm going to give this one... I'll give this one 4 stars. I thought it was a really solid bout. Unlike those other guys, I feel like there was a lot more going on here than just an overly choreographed gymnastics routine.
You know, in the defense of those other guys, Dave Meltzer was defending his take because that quote's kind of out of context.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. So much of what he says is
yeah,
taken out of context.
He was praising them quite a bit.
Yeah,
but you know whatever. That match, goddamn, yeah, that was definitely the most fun match of the night. Yeah, I'd give that 4 as well. I'd give it 4 stars. Yeah.
All right, next
match.
Tag match. Chase U, put it for you, Steve.
Yeah, you
taking on Axiom and Nathan Frazier. What do you give this one?
I'd give this 4.5. This was fucking awesome. This
yeah, it was
match
incredible.
Was fucking nuts. I loved it.
It was fantastic. 4.5 as well. I thought it was, from a purely wrestling standpoint, storytelling standpoint, the way they managed to get the crowd involved, match of the night.
Yeah, I agree.
Next, NXT Women's Championship match, Roxanne Perez, Lil Device. Another really good match. It bums me out a little bit that the finish didn't go as planned. There was that one Pop Rocks that didn't hit that right before the finish.
Yeah,
because I think if the finish had gone as planned and just bang bang bang, it would have been pretty cool. That being said, it was still really good, and the crowd was super into it. I gave it 3 3/4.
Yeah, same 3 3/4. That's what I was thinking as well.
All right, main event 4-way match for the NXT title. Trick, Ethan Page, Shawn Spears, Javon Evans. Steve, what'd you give that one?
Solid 4-star match. Thought it was good.
It was
very
good. It was good. Agreed.
Yeah.
Katras aligned.
Katra, oh, look at that. Katra's aligned. I wonder if they're aligned with those other guys. We'll find out on Friday when we finally get.
I know.
Look at that. We waited like days. We waited hecka days, and we're still
fresher than those other guys.
Still fresher than those other guys. Also, a quick bit of news. Stephanie Vaquer is not going to stay with CMLL. Not going to be doing Fantasticamania, which is like my favorite name for a show.
Oh, it's great.
And they also have like a really well-designed poster for it. Looks more like a rave, like an afternoon rave or something. In any event, Viva Van, Willow Nightingale, and I forget who the other person was.
Was it Willow in that match?
Yeah, I said Willow. Willow,
oh, sorry.
Viva Van, and then somebody else in that match, making it a triple threat. So Stephanie Vaquer is not going to be there. And I guess the speculation is because she's not going to be doing that match, it seems unlikely that AEW is going to be where she's headed, because if she was heading to AEW, chances are she would still do that match because of the relationship there, which means Stephanie Vaquer is heading to the Chase U.
Well, I'll do you one better. Record Mexico is reporting that she's going to WWE.
Wow, so it's on the record Mexico. Do we know Record Mexico's track record?
No, it's I've seen it all over Twitter, so
do we know the track record?
I'm reporting on what's out there.
As far as I'm going to Lucha Blog, his speculation is as good as gold. So he's speculating that it's WWE bound. That she is WWE bound, which is fucking awesome, man. One match I saw with her, and I was like, dude, put her in the Fed. I want to see her in there with the top talent on the biggest stage.
I mean, my thought was put her in hopefully she goes to a situation where she gets more exposure for a global audience.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you and I are in agreement. Dabba-da-dabba-da-E, the you! Go ahead. You do the joke that you did on the text.
What was that? Stephanie Vaquer.
Stephanie Vaquer.
With the U, yeah.
Man, come on, you got to give some oomph to it.
So, like, you know, there is a conversation after Forbidden Door where a bunch of people was like, yeah, we want to see Stephanie Vaquer in AEW or WWE because she got a lot of buzz, and deservedly so, because she was awesome.
Yeah, man.
And there is a lot of sentiment going around on social media. It was like, well, she's in CMLL. And this is, I'm not going to discredit CMLL. They're like the oldest wrestling promotion in the world. And they're huge. They're huge. Big deal. But I don't know. I'm speaking selfishly here, okay?
Of course.
Of course. I don't know if I think CMLL has stuff on YouTube.
I think so. Lucha Blog like tweets about CMLL, obviously, and there's always a weird caveat.
Yeah.
To like finding their stuff.
So when I say want her to be able to wrestle on the largest platform possible, not a slight at CMLL, obviously a massive promotion.
No,
I'm not trying to throw shade at their global reach.
Yeah.
And again, part of it, from selfishly speaking, is we already dedicate so much of our time to watch a WWE and AEW product. But yes, it's selfishly, we want all the wrestlers we like to be in those companies, so it's easier for us to watch them wrestle.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's not out of pocket, dude. Here's the number one. When did he send this? This was about 40 minutes ago. Mr. Dope sent us Stephanie Vaquer gonna chase you out. That's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
That's amazing. Thank you, Dope.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And I think that's what a lot of people were saying is like, hey, we want to see Stephanie Vaquer in AEW, WWE, and I think it's there's the selfish convenience factor of it.
Yeah, no, dude, listen. Here's the thing.
I'll just have the conversation about it right now.
Yeah, no, because I've seen the same thing. I saw a tweet that said the exact same thing. It was, man, I'd love to see her in AEW, right? Which is in my opinion, which is what I take that to mean. This is what I watch. These are where my favorites are. I don't want to see this person in a vacuum or with other people that I don't follow. I want to see her against, well, it would have been, I guess, against the Willows, but against, Britt Baker, against Tony Storm, against Mariah May, Riho, Hikaru Shida, my favorites in the environment because look, when we watch AEW, when we watch WWE, we've been watching it for so long, we have bought into these stories and these characters, and we love to see, fresh blood, new blood in that situation. How would they interact with our favorites? That's what it's saying. Because the context of that tweet that I saw was within a quote tweet where somebody said, the point of Forbidden Door is to showcase other promotions, not just to feed them into that promotion. Well, here's the thing. The person who was tweeting out, I want to see them in AEW, guess what? They have no control over who goes where. Like, yeah, I understand the point of Forbidden Door is that everybody can get some promotion. But if somebody, a fan of a promotion, of an AEW, says, I'd love to see this person in AEW, why would there be pushback on that? Why would anybody say, oh, you shouldn't want this, you should want that? Like, if that person who's tweeting that, who is simply tweeting about enjoying somebody's performance and wishing to see that person interact with their favorite stars, why does there need to be on social media pushback? Don't do this. You should do it this way. This is how you should perceive things.
That's just social media, man.
It's just social media.
It's just social media.
It's so irritating.
It's just social media. I mean, you're right. People see someone who impresses them in the wrestling ring, and instantly your thought is, oh, I want to see him against this person or this person or this person, or I wish there was a more convenient way that I could watch their work.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of take it as well.
Yeah, it's not meant, I don't think, as like a slight against, oh, I want to see this person taken out of CMLL to watch CMLL now have to struggle without this person. That's not what they're saying. No. They're simply saying, oh man, this person's cool. I'd like to see them match up against Valkyria,
Lyra
or a
Valkyria,
Bailey,
it's easy
or
to say.
you know, a Rhea Ripley, or, you know, Liv Morgan, or whatever, or over there in AEW. I don't know. Everybody's just looking for a fight on social media. They're all looking to be.
I know.
Or a lot of them anyways. Look, there's plenty of people on social media I see that are just, you know, hey, this is what I like. This is fun. This is great.
Yeah.
But then there's always got to be that pushback. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just everybody. Look, I know.
I mean, ultimately, the what's best for her and her career, should be priority one for fans of hers. Whether that's in CMLL, WWE, AEW, New Japan, wherever. You know, where she could ply her trade and make the most money doing it. And whatever place offers her the platform that she wants.
Yeah.
That's absolutely where she should go. If that's CMLL, great.
Right.
If it's not, whatever is best for her, awesome.
Yeah.
That's kind of my attitude.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, yes, we watch a lot of stuff, and unfortunately we don't have time to watch a lot of stuff that we probably would like to. I'd love to be able to follow CMLL more if I could.
Yeah.
Get steeped in their history and their legacy. It'd be great.
Well, dude, it was like Gunther back in the day.
Yeah.
It was like we were kind of under the understanding, because it had been put out there, that he was not interested in leaving Europe. Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, man, I'd love to see him in WWE or New Japan or whatever. But I understand that's not what the dude wants. That doesn't make me want to see that any less. It's like, hey, maybe one day he'll come around to that and I'll get lucky and get to see what we're seeing right now. And I was very happy to do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been into it if he was doing it under the gun, but like, that's not going to happen. So, you know, he seems incredibly happy right now. He should be. He's about to main event SummerSlam and take that L to one single south of heaven.
Foolishness is what you're talking there. Foolishness. You know, also, I do understand the perspective, the other side of it, when you are a fan of a promotion or follow a promotion, and now where you have two large North American wrestling companies that can seemingly lure any talent, or nearly any talent they want to, that you'd feel protective of the promotion that you follow and not want to see or want people to follow talents there as opposed to wanting them to go somewhere else. I understand that perspective. I get it. But at the same time, not everybody's going to have the same perspective on things.
I mean, dude, you could look at there are so many different angles to this. You could look at what WWE did in Europe, in the UK.
Yeah.
Where, you know, they basically ran indie wrestling was booming, right?
Yeah.
They came in, they kind of took it over. They had NXT UK, they signed up all the people, and then it sort of went through, and I think it's sort of on the upswing again, but it was at a real high point. You could look at AEW in the independent scene, where they took all those big names off the independent scene for AEW. Well, here's the thing though. Pete Dunne wouldn't have gone to WWE if he didn't want to go to WWE. He wanted to go to WWE, so he signed there. Nobody put a gun to his head and said, hey, you need to go here to WWE. They made him an offer that, so if they had not invaded, that's opportunities off the table for that UK talent that were busting their asses to get to WWE. And that's one angle. Then you could look at it from the point of view of the promoters, who are like, God damn, they're encroaching on my territory the way Vince encroached on everybody's territories back in the day. And they all got screwed and they all got ran out of business. But the bottom line is, this is just the harsh reality, unless you're offering your talent basically what you're unable to offer them, they're going to go to where the money is and the exposure is and the platform is. And look, you can either be happy for the talent for getting those opportunities. You can be sad for the promoters, and you'd be right in every single situation.
Yeah. You can. All those feelings could coexist. Absolutely.
But here's the thing: as a fan, I have no control over any of that stuff. So it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah. I mean, another perspective is when you have a high-profile talent leave a promotion to go somewhere else, that creates an opportunity for someone else to step up.
It does,
who might not be getting the opportunities they were before. And now there's a chance they might.
And if you're sad for those promotions that have lost a bunch of their talent, then it gives you all the more reason to support them even more, you know. But people aren't going to do that because they go to the draws, they go to the people that are pulling the money, and that's just not the reality of the situation. That's just the nature of this business. That's just the nature of pro wrestling, you know. I mean, did it suck that Vince went in and, you know, did underhanded shit like go to different TV stations and buy out, you know, time slots? Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's in terms of all this talent movement, it's exciting to see because it generates excitement for within the industry.
Yeah.
Oh, this person's going here and it's going to show up. Oh, wow, this, you know, these matches can happen. This storyline can happen. The downside is that talents are leaving promotions, you know.
Yeah.
And by and large, when talents leave, it's to go to WWE or AEW, and it's not very often. Let's say it never happens. Not very often that the inverse happens, where talent from WWE will like, oh, I'm not gonna stay here in WWE. I want to go to CMLL. You know, I want to go to AAA or Pro Wrestling Noah. You know, but it's the reality of the business. Is wrestlers want to generally, again, it depends what lines with their ambitions, to the promotions where it is best for them, whether it be financially, creatively, whatever satisfies their ambitions the most. That's where they're gonna go.
Yeah. You can't. Going back to the Vince stuff, you have you had an entire industry basically being run on gentlemen's agreements.
I know.
No,
yeah.
Don't encroach my
deals. Yeah.
Don't encroach in my territory because you've got your territory. We're all happy with our territories. Somebody eventually was going to take advantage of that, and that just happened to be, you know, shit hill.
Yeah.
But
so, anyways, if the reporting is true and Stephanie's going to WWE, that's exciting because whether it's NXT and Chase U or main roster, there's a lot of really good matches, a lot of great matches there to be had in the near future for her, and it's super exciting because, you know, what she showed at Forbidden Door and throughout her career is that she's exceptional, and she's going to go far wherever she is.
Can you imagine like the production they can put behind? I mean, just her look alone.
I know.
Good Lord.
I know.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool, man. That's gonna be pretty interesting. You think that she'd go to NXT first? When we joke about the U, she ain't gonna be in the U, but
no, she's not gonna be in Chase U. It's potentially very interesting if within the next few months we get both, and I know neither going to NXT or certainty. Julia and Stephanie Vaquer going to NXT.
That'd be pretty crazy.
When their women's division is already like loaded with talent. I mean, it's gonna be pretty nuts. It's gonna be pretty crazy.
You know what they got to do? Start up WCW again. I did a whole video on that on WrestleJuice. I took that one segment and then I expanded to a whole video on WrestleJuice.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
You're really invested in that idea.
Try not to get. Well, you know, I was the general manager for WCW for like
correct.
2 years on my GM mode.
That's correct.
So yeah, we'll see what that happens. Anyways, you want to talk about NXT, which originally was going to be WCW. That's what Paul Levesque wanted to do, but then either Dusty Rhodes or William Regal, somebody said, "Make it your own thing, dude. Nobody cares about WCW.
Be new.
Be new, Paul."
Think about what's next. Light bulb goes off for Triple H.
Oh man, and yeah, he's like at a bar drinking like water,
some sparkling water,
some sparkling water, and he writes down on a napkin the word "next," NEXT, and then he crosses.
No, even better, like he takes a drink and then a droplet of condensation falls right where the E is, and it kind of like bleeds the ink throughout the napkin, so it's just like a blob. He's like, NXT.
Somebody please ask him how, like at one of those stupid press conferences, somebody ask him how he came up with the term NXT, please. Yeah. I hope it's a blob of water comes down. Then he like shows it to Vince. God damn it, what does this stand for? Nothing. Next.
Nothing. But I see here this used to be an E.
And water stain XT. What does that mean? Oh man.
All right, let's talk about the further TNA invasion in NXT. So
we got a lot this week. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only Joe Hendry was Trick's
Dude,
tag
that
partner in the
pop
main event.
for Joe Hendry is real, man. That dude is camera charisma incarnate. Here's the thing: if this guy had no aura, these pops would not be that big. But when that camera zooms in on his face, you feel it through the TV. You believe through the TV. In Joe Hendry. Man. That pop was nuts for him. That pop is absolutely nuts. How far do you think this is going to go with Joe Hendry? I don't know what his contract is like with TNA.
I don't know, but apparently Jordan Grace just got her deal, or at one point got her deal amended so it expires in January. So
is TNA going to end up being like a feeder for NXT for WWE?
It's like the Evolve was, huh?
Maybe. I mean,
I would be surprised. Like Jordan Grace, she should go to main roster.
Oh, she should go to main roster.
Absolutely,
1,000%. Yeah.
But in terms Julia of like and Stephanie Vaquer could easily go to main roster too.
Oh, they could. But in terms of being a feeder for WWE, yeah, I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
That is going to be interesting if WWE kind of takes the approach they had to a degree with NXT UK and applies it to TNA.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't own TNA, so it's like
no.
There's a thin line between being a feeder system and poaching. You know, if TNA is not benefiting beyond the exposure factor, you know, I don't know how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I don't know either. And if the inclusion of TNA roster members on NXT TV has benefited their numbers at all, I don't know. You think if they just put out videos of Ed Edwards turning into a werewolf, then you got to assume that's 1 million viewers right there. You see a wrestler turn into a werewolf.
That's 1M viewers, yeah.
You think, gosh.
I'm curious. That's got to be on their YouTube. Hold on a second. I want to see what
Dynamite right there.
Yeah. Here we go. TNA. Yeah, don't need to mute that. Let's see here. That's not doing very well. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They are going to need more than Charlie Dempsey showing up.
Yes.
And they're probably going to need more than Gallus if Gallus is going to show up in TNA to take on the RASCALZ.
It's inevitable based on how Brooks Jensen was talking last night that maybe he's going to be too much of a headache for NXT, so they sent him to Impact.
Yeah.
So he literally said, I'm going to make sure I'm going to make an impact on when he got reinstated by Ava.
I don't know what this would indicate. I mean, okay, this 19-minute video from 5 days ago, Joe Hendry earns world title shot. It got 158,000. That's like kind of a respect. Charlie Dempsey. I mean, this is some NXT's Charlie Dempsey crosses the line. TNA Impact 122,000. I mean, I have no idea what that means in relation to their TV numbers. I don't know what their TV numbers are like these days. Mm-hmm. They've never been terrific, but I mean, the channel they're on is dog shit. So like,
yeah,
I don't know what could be expected or what could be expected from their pay-per-view, but like whatever their next pay-per-view Slammiversary? Probably.
That's usually July, right?
Yeah, I think that's this month.
End of July.
That makes sense.
And maybe we should watch that one.
Joe Hendry earns world title shot. That's got to be at Slammiversary.
Yeah. Is that the 6-way match?
Shit, I don't know.
I thought. Oh, did that already happen? See, again, I'd love to follow Impact more. Just don't have the time.
Let's see.
Slammiversary. So much wrestling out there.
Okay, so here we go. July 20th. I may or may not be out of town on the 20th. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be available on the 20th either. So.
And then so here are the matches. The matches are 6-way elimination: Moose, Josh Alexander, Steve Macklin, Nick Nemeth, Frankie Kazarian, the Joe Hendry Hunter, and then Joe Hendry himself are going to be in that 6-way elimination match. Jordan Grace versus Ash by Elegance, Mustafa Ali versus Speedball. Wow.
That's going to be good.
AJ Francis, who apparently was backstage at NXT last night.
Saw that. Yeah.
One of my close friends, AJ Francis, versus PCO. Ooh, that's going to hurt for AJ Francis. And then the Alicia Edwards. I thought, whoa, what, Alicia Edwards? She recovered from decapitation?
I guess so, and wasn't...
it's got to be a first.
Masha was tagging with Killer Kelly. What happened with that?
Something. I forget what, but something. Is Killer Kelly going somewhere?
I don't know.
All these things we don't know. Let's see here. Let's find out. So yeah, I mean, do you like Joe Hendry's chances at Slammiversary?
Actually, do yeah.
If they're smart, put that world title on that dude.
Yep.
Okay, so it says here, back in March, Killer Kelly. 3 weeks ago, she's going to be taking time away from TNA, but still signed with the company.
Okay. Yeah, if TNA's smart, they'll put that title on Joe Hendry. Yeah, I mean he's captured the wrestling zeitgeist just as much as kind of anybody these days, and to have that dude on your roster and you don't make him champion. Imagine he shows up on NXT TV with that TNA championship. If you have your champion and it's Joe Hendry, and he's on NXT getting some eyeballs on your brand.
What is a good NXT name to headline against champion Joe Hendry on the next TNA pay-per-view? Can't be Charlie Dempsey. He's not big enough.
Well, the thing is, it can't be anybody of too high a stature because they're going to have to. Shawn Spears.
I was thinking Shawn Spears.
Shawn Spears.
It's Shawn Spears.
He's ready to go. He just pinned Shawn Spears on the main event. You're good to go.
That's gay, dude. That's gotta be like.
You think
that might have been. Hey, that might have been the entire idea behind putting him in that main event.
Yeah, entirely.
Was because then he's a big enough. He perceived of as a big enough deal to lose to Joe Hendry in the main event of TNA Steven Seagal movie title. You know.
Yeah.
Whatever that's gonna be.
Yeah. Under Siege.
Yeah, but yeah. So man. I mean, if it is a good two-way relationship and WWE is able to prevent names like Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry from going to AEW, then it definitely benefits them. And I mean, dude, yeah, having that that TNA logo, but TNA at some point got to look into getting onto a station with more reach.
I know. They could try to push their Impact Insider or Impact Plus, whatever they call it now, on their website as much as they can, but without a decent. Again, go back to previous conversations about convenience. People want to be able to turn on their TV and watch the wrestling they want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's human nature to a degree. I know there's a lot of people out there that'll actively search stuff out. There's a lot of wrestling fans.
Realistic, man.
There's a lot of wrestling fans that get home from work and there's like, all right, I just want to watch something. And on the nights where there's there's not very many of those. I think there's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
No WWE, no AEW on.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a cable deal for Thursday nights, or good cable deal, with a decent reach like they used to have, that's good for Impact.
Yeah.
And as we say all the time, the more thriving, successful wrestling companies there are, the better it is for the wrestlers, the better it is for the industry.
Yeah.
Better it is for us as fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for no other reason, Impact TNA needs to get a better TV deal because it's just good for business overall.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, we had a RASCALZ reunion.
Oh, that was cool to see. MSK / okay, if it's just two of us, we're MSK. If it's three of us, we're RASCALZ.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That was cool. Looks like they're going to be. That's probably going to be the match at Slammiversary. I would think they would add that to Slammiversary.
Gallus versus
RASCALZ?
No, that's next week.
Oh shit, they're doing
NXT.
that. Oh, I missed that.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that was advertised already.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, boy, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
When are we getting some Gallus merch? I saw Wolfgang talking about that. I'd wear that shit. Some Gallus merch.
Mm-hmm.
Some Joe Coffee merch.
Hey, did you see, was it last week? Last week that Riley Osborne had the purple Chase U shirt. It was like Purple Heather.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be the Friendo U shirt. We got to release that shit, man. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, but they shouldn't be adding purple to their shit. I don't like that.
Well, they did for the last PL Heatwave because they're in Toronto, so it was all red and purple.
All right, well, I gotta drop this. Where did I put that thing? Oh, did I not save that? Oh, what a drag. All right, well, I'm gonna make that today then. Get that out there. FriendoShop.com. Get your Friendo. I thought I had that saved. I guess not. Anyway.
Wow, Chase U shirt sold out still.
Oh yeah, dude. Maybe we can get on Redbubble if you want a Chase U shirt.
Yeah,
None
they do
of the
have
proceeds go to Chase U. It goes to Chase U Fan 69 at Redbubble.
Exactly. The Chase U Alumni Association.
Right, exactly. So anyways, it started the Ego era.
Yeah.
Oro Mensa is probably going to be Ethan Page's first guy because he got basically sidelined during the main event by Oro Mensa.
Yeah.
Still upset that Ethan Page was attacked metaphor.
Yeah. It seems unlikely that Oro would be winning that match, given that Page just won the championship. But it's a good spot for Oro Mensa. I hope, depending on how long, or regardless of how long Noam Dar is going to be out with his injury, that they start pushing Oro up the card and give him more opportunities. Because even just after that promo a couple weeks ago, I'm like, all right, I'm rooting for this dude. I'm really rooting for this dude.
Oh, yeah. No, he's great.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
This was weird. We had some main roster call downs, whatever you want to call it, to NXT in the form of a tag team, which is actually two singles guys, because they didn't really interact, I don't think, did they? Cedric and Shanti Adonis.
They did a whole video package of them as a tag team.
Never mind then. Golly, what else did I miss on NXT this week? Because I saw like Cedric showed up in the office and then he was gone, and then Shanti Adonis was there.
Yeah, that was the same segment.
That was the same thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Why
But
weren't they
the
in the
video
segment
packages
together,
ran on
though?
SmackDown when they were a tag team for a brief time. Yeah.
They ran that video package on NXT.
No, they didn't.
Okay, wait. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. I was confused. I thought you said something about them being a tag team or something. Anyways, no. They just had the interaction. They just had the segment where they were in the office at the same time or outside Ava's office.
Yeah.
But they didn't really interact, no.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. They set them up as a tag team on main roster. They're both in NXT, but apparently doing their own thing.
That's my confusion. That's what I'm bringing up right now. Yeah. Now you're gaslighting me saying they ran a tag team package.
No,
I
misunderstood you. I misunderstood what you said.
Okay. So no, they were a tag team, which I was really looking forward to, and I know you were too.
They were a tag team that apparently never wrestled on SmackDown. They got a video package of them.
Wow,
of
so
Cedric.
they were just friends on main roster, not a tag team.
They were a tag team. Like, I feel like they filled out the paperwork to be a tag team, but it stopped there.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they ever had a match on main roster as a tag team. Maybe on main event. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Again, there's a lot of wrestling out there. I can't watch it all.
And dude, I was floored because again, I saw that Cedric on social media. Oh, Cedric's in NXT now. So like, I watched the segment. He talks to Ava. Happy to be here. Happy to have you. Right. And then I sort of look away, probably to take a bite of my breakfast, and I look, and then Stone is saying Ashanti Adonis, and I'm like, this is the same segment. They're friends. I thought they're supposed to be a tag team. Why are they not in the office at the same time with each other in the same shot?
Maybe that's the story, though, is they're going to show up at next week's NXT, and it's like, you're here? You're here? I thought we were a team.
Be like, we were in the same office together, but I didn't see you?
I know. Well, no, it was outside of Ava's office. Because the segment starts with Cedric and Ava and Stevie Turner leaving Ava's office.
Oh, okay.
The meeting they had to work out the deal concluded, because you see the outside of the door, it says Ava's office. She wouldn't have that in the inside of her door.
Okay, yeah, that's a good, well, maybe, I don't know. I've got like Going in Raw shit in here.
I can see your office door. There's nothing on there that seems to indicate that's your office on the door.
There's a little sticky note right there, but that's just from Bama saying do something. I forget what it is. Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird situation to me. But I guess, you know what, I don't know. I hope this is not your standard. Like they just lose a lot, like as individuals. And I feel like, I don't know, what would you rather do? Put them as a tag team in NXT or put them as solo? I feel like they'd have a better shot as a tag team. I'd love, dude, could you imagine Cedric and Ashanti versus Axiom? I mean, come on.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It'd be so good. It'd be so good.
Boy, Cedric's ceiling was so high.
I know.
The Cruiserweight Classic.
I know.
They honestly, I would love for main roster to bring back the Cruiserweight title.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be great.
But
Let's talk
Well,
about
that was
this.
an emotional roller coaster ride. You want to talk about that terrible Heritage Cup match?
That's what I was just about to bring up.
All right, so listen. I don't want anybody taking this shit out of context, clipping this shit, making people feel, and then tagging, your favorite wrestler, Tony D'Angelo. Or
Alexis King, I guess.
Or Alexis King. Or DJ Eddie Thorpe.
Eddie Thorpe.
Right? This segment was not for me. That match was not booked for Steve. And I will say that. Having cheesy DJ music in between, man, Johnny Saint is rolling over in his grave, Larson. Because this was not up to the standards laid down by NXT UK, the Heritage Cup rules match.
Yeah.
Lexus King and Tony D'Angelo with Eddie Thorpe as I laughed out loud because you watched it before I did.
Yeah.
And you texted me. I won't say exactly what you said, but you did not take a positive viewpoint on this match.
No.
Was not booked for, I'll paraphrase. This was not a segment for me.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, Tony, it's a Heritage Cup match? Who's he fighting? And you said Lexus King. I was like, oh, God. And then you dropped the bomb with Eddie Thorpe DJing between rounds. I was like, oh, my God. That sounds horrible. AKA not booked for me.
Not booked for me. Like, NXT and even more so NXT UK managed to get a lot of mileage out of people feuding for the most random and mundane reasons.
True.
And because the characters were strong, it usually worked more often than not.
Yeah.
People feuding over what type of music they listen to. Like,
It's a bit much.
it is.
That's a bit much.
Like, I get if someone spills a pint on somebody. Oh,
Yeah.
all right, you've disrespected me.
Yeah.
Therefore, we must fight.
Yeah.
But Lexus King having an issue with Eddie Thorpe liking electronic music where he likes rock and roll, you're really going to fight over that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's goofball stuff.
It is seriously goofball stuff. And you talk about the level of in-ring aptitude that we've seen with the prior Heritage Cup matches.
Yeah,
And
right.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's so many facets into what it takes to be a professional wrestler. You could be wildly successful as a pro wrestler and without being the most technically sound in-ring tactician. You know what I mean?
Not everybody has to be Zack Sabre Jr.
Not everybody has to be Zack Sabre Jr. or A-Kid, Axiom,
Right. Yeah.
But that's the bar that's been set with the Heritage Cup.
It has been, yeah. Pretty high.
All the way up until Tony D'Angelo's had it. And Tony D'Angelo, while we're kind of confused about the true nature of his character, he's invested in his character. He knows how to perform his character.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a couple of years now.
His character work is fine.
It's fine.
I think in a lot of other match types, he's a fine wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just an odd fit having a wrestler who, and I'm not saying they have to have necessarily the British style pedigree. I'm not even saying that. It felt like the Heritage Cup was kind of akin to the X Division, where this celebrates an approach to wrestling. Because the X Division thing wasn't a weight class thing. It was like, hey, these are wrestlers who are pushing the art of pro wrestling forward. And the Heritage Cup felt like it was both a throwback and also, hey, we're using the influence of technical wrestling to push wrestling forward. That's what it felt like.
It works best when there is a certain amount of, I think, and when we mentioned Zack Sabre Jr. is the perfect example. You've got this extra set of, this isn't just a match, these are rounds, and you have to figure things out. You have to be a very tactical wrestler, like Zack Sabre Jr. is. And so in the UK, you'd have all these matches where they would find a variety of ways to sort of get the job done, and there would be intrigue. And that's sort of the crux of the Heritage Cup. It's not just, oh, you've got these rounds. There's real intrigue. And so you get these wrestlers who are really experienced. So not only do they know how like the moves work, they really have a deep, deep understanding of what telling a story is and how to create intrigue. And now you have the additional intrigue of these rounds. And that was really the basis for it. Well, I mean, he's executing this character in the way that they're asking him to, but I just don't think that Tony D is that guy for the Heritage Cup. And I know for a fact Lexis King ain't. You know, I think that there's definitely a thing that Lexis King has as a character, and I think it's honestly a fairly effective one. He's a douchebag, as a character. That's what he is, and he performs that very well.
His character is pretty adept at being obnoxious and annoying. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. He does. He's not without his charisma. I think he performs his character very well.
Yeah.
I think he's better as Lexis King than he was in AEW as Brian Pillman Jr.
Absolutely, because he didn't really have a character in AEW. He was just Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah, right.
If there was the story about Tony D'Angelo and they kind of touched on it with the Nathan Frazier match a bit, which, probably not coincidentally was the best Heritage Cup match that Tony D has had since he won it. Where Tony is well aware that he doesn't have the technical wrestling chops of former champions. And again, this is stuff they've kind of touched on, but I don't feel like they've emphasized the story enough. Mm-hmm. That he's well aware that he lacks the technical chops that prior champions have had. And so, like in the Frazier match, he just wins with brute force.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to be that wrestler. I have no ambitions to be that wrestler. This is the wrestler I am. So, hey, guess what? You think you're in line with previous Heritage Cup champions? You can't wrestle that way against me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so to have opponents like Nathan Frazier makes sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if it'll happen. Guys like Axiom would make sense, where he faces, whether they're former Heritage Cup champions or not, wrestlers who are really adept from a technical perspective. Come on here, beat me on my terms. Mm-hmm. So long as I have this cup, this is the style this cup is going to celebrate now. Yeah. Make a story out of it, and I don't feel like if that's what they're doing, the emphasis is on that quite enough.
Yeah, it does seem like this is the kind of thing where it's more goofball. He's going to DJ in between these sets to troll Lexis King. Yeah. And I don't know, man. Look, maybe Eddie Thorpe is really into this. Maybe they're trying to figure out, okay, as a character we can build stories around some aspect of your character. How does that play out? And, his emphasis, what he has emphasized as a character in the past, Native American heritage, mm-hmm. Maybe that is something that is difficult for creative to come up with. Okay, we can find stories that you can, because that's what NXT is. They get sort of a gimmick and they find stories to build off of that gimmick, and then they become less that gimmick. Well, earnest Native American heritage guy might be a difficult pitch to find stories to springboard off of that without coming off as exploitative or downright stupidly offensive, which is what it would have been in the past, mm-hmm. Decades ago, even 10 years ago. And so, okay, well, what else do you do? Well, I like to DJ. I like EDM music. Okay, well, we can work with that. And it's not booked for Steve. Maybe others will appreciate it, or maybe
we're going to get Steve. We're going to get a part where he's in the locker room and he's blasting music too loud. Someone's going to be like, "Hey, keep it down. I'm trying to get ready for my match."
You think Eddie Thorpe is going to be that? That's going to be
like segment. Eddie's going to be like, maybe he's working on he's behind the turntables working on stuff. And he's doing it, I don't know, like in the break room area, because like 2 weeks ago was it that he was showing footage on the iPad of one of his sets, and Lexis King took issue with that. But I'm saying, like in the locker room,
I'm trying to think of a bad guy that would do that, because I think you're right. That's going to happen. Yeah,
it's going to happen where someone's going to be upset that he was playing music too loud or playing music at all. Probably
it's going to be
Dempsey. He'll have a bone to pick.
Yeah,
and then feud will start from there.
Yeah. It's disappointing because Eddie Thorpe, number one, Eddie Thorpe has got everything. He's a really good wrestler. He comes from the LA Dojo. He's got a good look to him. It's figuring out, okay, well, beyond being a badass wrestler with a good look, what do you bring to the equation? Like, where do you fit in?
Yeah.
And NXT is that place. I guess it's that place where you got to find that thing that they can latch on to. I get it. It's just not exactly. It's like it makes for funny text messages if nothing else.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into it. Open up with Ego.
Boy, he talked a lot, but I guess that's part of his character. He's a good talker.
Yeah, he is. So he comes to the ring and he, talks about winning the title. Says he's only been there 6 weeks. He's champion. I guess that bests Kevin Owens' record for the shortest time in NXT before being champion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he says, I understand why everybody hates me. I know for sure the entire locker room hates Ethan Page, and that's why I have a security detail with me tonight to make sure no one comes after me. That doesn't stop Oro Mensah. He rushes towards the ring. Security takes him away. Page continues, says thanks to Ava, says Heatwave was one of the greatest main events in NXT history, and I walked out champ. Says you all have a special saying around here. We are NXT. Wrong. I'm NXT. And the whoop that era is officially done now because we've entered the era of Ego. Trick comes out. And he says, I'm not in the mood for any of this. You got the win at Heatwave, but I'm going to get even. I want my rematch tonight. And Page's like, hey, I get it. You're emotional. I understand. Thanks for the trick shot, because you could say I fell into the NXT title.
It's not even a clever...
It's not.
It's not even a clever pun.
It's not. And he says, I knew you were going to come out here and demand a rematch, but you're not the dude around here anymore. I am. As for your rematch request, denied. This brings out Shawn Spears. He says, Ethan, I think you owe me a giant thank you because my view... They explain why Spears didn't try to break up the pin or allow Trick to do it. You owe me a giant thank you because if my view wasn't obstructed when I pulled Trick out of the ring, you wouldn't be champion right now. He said, Trick, you lost your title without getting pinned, and now you're out here crying for a rematch. I can't let that happen. Javon Evan comes out and says, Trick, you don't need to worry about this, but the other two of you need to shut up. Says, I had both your asses basically beat, if not for the pins being broken up, and I was close to being NXT champion. That's facts. Anyways, that leads to a four-way brawl. Trick and Javon clear the ring, and then it's booked for the main event, Trick and Javon versus Spears and Page.
Right. That changed a little bit.
But it wouldn't stay that way.
But before we get there, we had Carmen Petrovic versus Ariana Grace. Of course, they were teaming up against Jacy Jayne and Jasmine Nix at the last thing, the Heatwave. In the kickoff show. The Toronto natives beat Jacy and Jasmine. But Ariana and Carmen, they were only linked geographically, certainly not on the same page, and that led to this match here. Jacy and Jasmine walked to ringside pretty early. Carmen ends up getting the win with a spinning kick over Ariana Grace. Afterwards, Fallon shows up, lays out Carmen from behind, hits her with a suplex and some ground and pound. She leaves the ring, walks to Jacy and says, I'm sick of these rookies.
Yep.
These damn kids coming in, taking our spot.
So then we're in the middle of a meeting between Brooks Jensen and Ava.
Yeah.
So Ava says, thanks for meeting with me. Brooks says, I own all my behavior and I apologize. I got into my head too much and got out of control, and I own all that. He says, I wish I could go back and undo everything I did, but I can't. And Ava says, there's highs and lows. You got to keep pushing through the lows, however. And Brooks says, there's a lot of pressure on being a second-generation star. And Ava says, I understand that. And tells Brooks, Shawn and I were about to release you, but some people vouch for you, so you're going to get a second chance. And she stresses, you're a WWE superstar all the time, 24/7. And Brooks says, all right, yeah, I get it. This is my life now, and I'm going to make an impact.
He really should have turned to the camera for that line.
Impact.
I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to be total nonstop acting like a WWE superstar.
There you go. That's what you should have said.
Anyways, they shake hands, and we get a nice close-up. I think they did a rack focus on the handshake as well.
Yeah.
Then we had the Heritage Cup match, Tony D'Angelo versus Lexis King. We probably talked in too much detail about this. Tony D'Angelo finishes Lexus King off in round 3.
Four.
Sorry, yeah, round 4 with a spine buster. I do, you know what? I do like Tony D's approach to his fisherman suplex finisher.
Yeah.
I like that. It looks impactful. I don't know.
Speaking of impactful moves, Steve, I want to ask you about Lexus King's drive-by move.
Dude, look, no move that Lexus King does is really.
You know what I'm referring to, right?
Not really. What
it's
are you
the
talking
one that
about?
he just runs up to his opponent, runs through them, and as he's running through them, kind of takes his arm and does this across their face.
Yeah, it's, dude. I'll have to take another look at it, to be honest with you.
Take a look and get
I'm
back.
assuming he did it during this match.
He did it right before he hits his finisher in round 3 to tie it up.
Round 3 to tie it up. All right, I'm loading it up right now.
All right, I'll carry on and get back to me once you check it out. He does it all the time, and every time I see it, I'm like, why is that a move?
Yeah, dude. I honestly like his wrestling. It does leave, in my mind, for me personally, for Steve here, it's not really the wrestling for me.
So we're
backstage.
backstage.
Trying to hurt feelings here. Not trying to hurt feelings.
Exactly. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
It's not for me.
Backstage, Brooks is attacking Javon Evans, and so refs come in to break it up, and Josh Briggs runs in and says, I stuck my neck out for you, and you're back here attacking Javon Evans. And Brooks says, hey, I was just trying to make an impact.
Yeah. What is this guy's deal?
Well, he's going to TNA. He's going to go on excursion, Steve.
No, I get that, but like, you just shook her hand. Young people could be really stupid.
Got that right.
And but the thing is, I mean, I do appreciate that thread in WWE. Number one, guilty in my youth, I was prone to all sorts of stupid ass mistakes. But I appreciate that, it's hard to be young.
So Briggs tells him, hey, get out of here.
Hey.
After that, we got Chase U backstage. Thea's got a match later. She says she could get him back on the winning track. Mm-hmm. Ridge rushes in and says, hey, y'all stole the show at Heatwave, but I want to do something to prove that I can be trusted. So that's why I got Thea this match tonight against Izzy Dame. That one. You've never really paid attention to that move before, have you?
I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm sorry. I know we review this stuff. I get it. And when I've got two compelling wrestlers in there wrestling, I will focus on everything they're doing. I watched 30 seconds of a Lexus King match, and I don't think I'm missing much of substance if I'm paying close attention. That was fucking hilarious. What is that? I don't even dude. Oh, you want to know? Hey, if you and I could have a wrestling match, I think we could execute that move.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I think that's on the list of shit. He does this.
He just runs into him and smacks him in the face a little bit.
He just sort of does this to their cheek.
Yeah, while running into them with his pelvis.
Gently brushes their cheek.
Yeah, I don't get
while
it.
While running into them with his pelvis, yeah.
So Ridge also said, Ridge says, I got Thea match against Izzy Dame tonight so that she could show Ava what we already know. She's ready to challenge Roxanne for that title. He says, also got Duke Hudson, a North American championship match. We're like, oh, you get a match against Paige. Like, no, Obafemi. Duke not happy about it.
Duke's reaction here was great because he just sort of stares off into the darkness, and then
Riley says Opa's going to destroy Duke.
Oh, that fucker.
Come on,
fucker, Riley. Oh, I can't stand him.
Have some confidence in your dude.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh, he's the most inside. Look, I don't care about hurting feelings here. Don't send this to him, everybody. But
this is his character.
He might be the nicest guy in the world. I don't know, but I know his character on TV is an insufferable prick. Oh, Oba was going to kill. Well, yeah, we all know Oba's going to kill Duke. You shut up about it. You don't say that. You hype him up.
You don't say it. Yeah,
you hype him up. Give me a break.
Come on, Duke. Give him the best you got.
Yeah,
that's what Thea does.
Oh yeah, dude, she's about it.
Yeah,
I liked how fired up. This is the most fired up I've seen Ridge.
Yeah.
Because this dude was working. He was in Ava's ear booking all sorts of shit for Chase U. Yeah. Ridge is all in on the U, man. And now he's going to have Stephanie Vaquer.
After that, we had Gallus. Versus Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe.
They need a group name.
Yeah.
That's a lot to say. Those names are really
They're great names.
They are great names individually, but you try to drop that as a team. DuPont and Igwe.
So anyways, Gallus gets the win because Joe Coffey low bridges DuPont over the top, and then Mark hits Igwe with the forearm, tags in Wolfgang. Gallus hit their finisher to get the win.
Wow.
After that, we got a Trick Williams interview.
He said, Joe Coffey's like, hey, you guys got a proper tag team name. I couldn't say it names.
Gosh darn it.
I had to do it. You're trying to run through a Gallus segment. Get out of here.
There's another one. Trick's got an interview. He says, last 48 hours have been crazy. No one's going to stop me from getting my title back. He says, I'll take on Spears and Page by myself if I have to. And then he stops and goes, I've been thinking about it. That might not be the best idea. I got to go find myself a tag team partner. So he leaves, and on the monitor behind Kelly, JOE HENDRY shows up.
Then we had a Wes Lee promo. Sad Wes Lee comes to the ring. Says
he's like, I'm going to retire. I'm going to quit.
I'm done wrestling because I couldn't get past Obafemi, the most dominant guy we've seen in wrestling in quite some time. He said, I've had a rough couple of days. I truly went into Heatwave believing I could beat Obafemi. What an idiot I am. He says Oba was the better man. But that match wasn't the only thing I put everything into. The moment I got up from surgery, I knew exactly what my goal was, to beat the unbeatable. That was what pushed me through rehab. I could feel the title in my hands again, and I was ready to raise it above my hand as king of the West Side.
It's supposed to be my head.
What'd I say?
Hand.
Oh, sorry. It says head here.
Oh, all right.
He said, that's unfortunately not how it happened. I really don't know where to go from here. I've been beaten before, but this was different. That guy absolutely annihilated me.
Yeah.
He's scary. He says, now look, I've had one hell of a run here in NXT. He was about to announce that he's heading to Speed. He says, but I got to be honest with you and all in myself. I think it's time for me to start stepping away to Speed. But then he's interrupted by the MSK theme.
Yeah.
Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel.
When they got the timing right on that, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was like rare. 1 out of 10. They come to the ring. Everybody pops big. Wes looks like he's about to burst out in tears. He says, wait, hold up. What are you doing here? And Wentz says, what are you doing here? He says, what are we doing here? These people don't want to see Wes Lee go. We don't want to see Wes Lee go. We've missed you so much. Trey says, you can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're here. Wes says, just like all of them, I've missed you so damn much. I'm extremely proud of the men you've become. And Wentz says, this isn't about us. This is about you. You're the greatest North American champion ever. Larson, agree or disagree?
My opinion doesn't matter much because Obafemi thinks he's the greatest North American champion, so I'm not going to disagree with Obafemi.
I think that was probably decided last weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
So Trey says, on top of that, you two are the greatest tag team to set foot in this building. And Wentz is like, I think it's time to get MSK back together, and it's time for the RASCALZ to wreck shop around here. What do you think? Did we ever find out what MSK stood for?
No.
Okay.
After that, we got Ethan Page in the locker room warming up with Shawn Spears. Sarah Schreiber steps in, asks, hey, where are you at ahead of this main event tag match tonight? And Page goes, tag match? Don't you mean a handicap match? Spears and I are on the same page, and we'll beat Trick again. And Spears asks if Page thinks Trick's going to find a tag partner. Page is like, no. So Spears says he's got something else to do, so he leaves. And Page, he's warming up, and he says, hey, Sarah, you're still here. Why don't you leave so I can get warmed up for my match? Being exceptionally rude to her.
Looked like he was going to butter her up a little bit, but then instead he was just a dick.
Rude.
After that, we had Thea Hale versus Izzy Dame. Chase U. Tatum shows up, runs Izzy into a ring post. Thea then hits Izzy with a suicide dive, puts her in the ring, top rope crossbody, bunch of offense, locks on that Kimura, and then Izzy taps out. Afterwards, so Chase U are in the ring celebrating. Oh, but Femi cares not about celebrations. He calls Duke from the platform, basically laughs him off, says, Ridge begged for a match against me next week, but you quickly realize that's a huge mistake. I'm going to destroy you. And Duke's like, with as much confidence as he can muster, which wasn't much. He says, don't underestimate me. I'm the man who has got the attention of Trish Stratus.
That's what he said.
Who are we to disagree with it? I don't know what he's talking about, though.
Maybe something happened on the, I don't know, Mushi tweeted like, hey, great job, Chase, you in your match at Heatwave.
Oh, that could be. That could be. He says, the man who tore the roof off Toronto, the man they call the MVP of Chase U, Duke Hudson. He said, in 7 days, I'll become the new North American champion. I'm afraid I've got some bad news, Duke.
Yeah,
Hudson.
Unlikely to happen there, Duke.
Probably not going to happen.
So then we got the Rascals backstage. Wesley's like, oh, this is so crazy. Wentz says anything can happen in NXT. Lee goes, yeah, I was just about to quit. And then Gallus steps.
Hey, yeah, wow.
So Mark says, I bet the internet's loving this reunion.
And then I get to say Joe stuff.
Sorry.
Joe says, Joe's confused. Like, what are we supposed to call you anyway? And Lee's like, well, if it's me and Zach, it's MSK. If it's all three of us, it's the Rascals. And Joe's like, I can't understand what you're talking about. It's 2 guys, 3 guys. How many guys is it? You couldn't make up your mind, can you? No, you can't.
Gosh darn it. So Wolfgang then
He's
says,
saying can't, but it sounds an awfully lot.
Just, you just don't focus on any of it. So then Wolfgang says, hey, Wentz, Trey Miguel, you're from TNA. We don't want TNA people here.
No, you're not welcome here. You can't come here.
Gosh darn it.
Wow. After that, we had Out the Mud promo.
Man, Bronco Nema's face mask was incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
He had a broken nose, and he had like it was cool.
Yeah. Face masks, they got some cool shit going on. JC Jane looks cool in hers, too. Very scary. So they call it the Good Brothers. And then Jade is like, Good Brothers, you better pray for mercy, because you're not getting any from Out the Mud. They're a lot cooler now without scripts. Reggie.
Then Briggs and Jensen are in Ava's office. And Ava says, Brooks, you ruined the main event. And Briggs is like, yeah, I vouch for you. It's your responsibility now to get your act together. And so Ava says, Brooks, you got Javon Evans next week. And then Briggs is like, Shawn Spears attacked me a while back. I want a match with him. And Ava says to Briggs, don't go out there and get involved in the main event.
Yeah. After that, we had OTM versus the Good Brothers, the Devil Digs.
Carl Anderson eating pins again.
Yeah, he knows that. He knows that role well. Mia Yim continued her feud with Jada Parker. She comes out. Security keeps her and Jada apart. And then Gallows tried to rip off Bronco's face mask. Hits him with a punch, but the ref distraction allows Neiman to kneel Carl in the back. And then OTM hit Anderson with their finish to get the win. After that, we had a Fallon Henley Matt Chat question. She was on the phone. She says, I should have had Ruka's North American title shot, because if I did, I'd be champion. But the camera pans out, and Saul Ruka is watching. Kelly Kincaid steps in for an interview. Saul says, if I had a rematch with Kalani, the outcome would be different. As for Fallon, I don't have an issue with her, but Fallon has an issue with me. In my time in NXT, you either put in the work or bitch. And she wants to show the world and I want to show the world that I put in the work, and it's pretty obvious who Fallon is. The insinuation being that Fallon is a bitch.
Well, that she does complain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we get No Quarter Catch Crew in the parking lot, and Dempsey slamming the trunk of a car closed, and just yells, mistakes won't be tolerated.
So now they have learned how to murder, because they have murdered Damon Kemp.
Yes, that is the insinuation here, yes.
And what's his face? Tavion Heights is like, do you guys do this murder stuff often?
Yeah.
And they're like, And then they do the bit where he says, Miles, mistakes won't be tolerated, right? And Miles is just staring at the car. He's like, Miles, like what? Yeah, I know. Won't be tolerated. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. But then Ren St. Clair's there in the parking lot, and they notice her, and she says, I didn't see anything until they just get in the car and leave.
They don't do anything about it. Dempsey is just the worst mob boss. It's kind of great.
It's an interesting story, I guess.
It's sort of exposing how silly Tony D's crew is, though.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of flipping it. It's like, okay, this is kind of like really what it would be. They're just goofy. You know, it's just sort of silliness.
Yeah. After that, we had Sol Ruca.
Sol Ruca.
Versus Fallon Henley. Sol Ruca gets the win here, or about to get the win here after a Soul Snatcher, but then Jasmine and JC hit the ring to attack Sol Ruca.
Sol Ruca.
So I guess Sol Ruca gets the win by DQ. After that, Cedric Alexander, Stevie Turner, Ava are walking out of Ava's office. And a meeting had just happened, which has led Cedric to come back to NXT. So he thanks Ava to the opportunity. He's looking forward to contribute in any way. And Ava says, because at this point Stone has walked up to him, and Ava says, yes, Stevie set up this meeting. Cedric coming to NXT. And Stone goes, oh, hold on a second. He's on the phone. Oh, yeah. Come on in. Ashanti the Adonis walks in. He says, people have been sleeping on me, and I'm going to make sure they're tucked in.
You know what they should do? They should do a running gimmick where same shot situation, whenever Cedric is around, he leaves and Ashanti shows up afterwards.
They should.
Yeah. So they never cross paths.
Never.
Yeah. That would get old quick and pretty convoluted. Then we had our main event. Ethan Page and Shawn Spears versus Trick Williams. Say his name and JOE HENDRY.
He appears.
Yeah. Huge pop for Hendry. And he ends up getting the win here. So Oro, at a certain point towards the finish here, attacks Page, chases him through the crowd. Trick gets the hot tag to Hendry. He goes on a run, hits Spears with a fallaway slam, sends him out of the ring, distracts the ref so Trick can hit his trick shot, and then Hendry gets his finish to get the win. So new TNA champion, maybe. New NXT favorite, definitely.
Definitely. Already. Oh, wow. Apparently Tony Khan talked about hologram on the Battleground podcast. Says, I can confirm that was definitely not me in the mask, and I think it's going to be great. Somebody I'm excited for, but it's, you know, not necessarily teasing the biggest free agent signing or anything like that. It's a wrestler we're really excited about, and it's cool to use vignettes to get people excited about introducing somebody to AEW.
So we know it's not Tony. I mean, damn, I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, imagine if Tony Khan wrestled. He got into a portal and he became wrestler afterwards.
What if he was like training on the down low?
That'd be
What
weird.
if this dude's like the next A-Kid?
That'd be something.
Outstanding, but no, apparently not. So yeah, not a big free agent signing. So it's not going to be Ricochet.
Yeah.
Takes him off the board, but somebody they're excited about.
Doesn't necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of nebulous whether this is a new AEW roster member or someone getting a repackage, though, you know, too.
Did he wait? What did he say about it being a signing?
He said it's not like the hugest free agent signing, but also, what did he say? Get the exact quote. It's somebody I'm excited for, but not necessarily teasing the biggest free agent signing or anything like that.
Okay, so it might not be a new signing. It could be a repackage.
Could be Sammy Guevara.
Yeah,
I'd be pretty
that's
surprised
a
for Sammy
possibility.
Guevara.
I'd be surprised. It didn't look like him from the back, but I guess
I watched
possible.
it back again, and if you let his the back of his hair grow out more, it could have been him.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah. Because it was kind of like how he has it kind of long on top.
Sammy likes the cheesy stuff too.
Yeah.
So maybe that it could be his thing.
It could have been.
You think if it's Sammy wrestling in a mask, everybody's gonna know?
Oh, of course, because
they'll start chanting Sammy. Yeah. What's the reaction gonna be? Like they do this big entrance. Oh, it's the debut of Hologram, and then he comes out and then he takes off the mask dramatically, and it's just Sammy Guevara.
Well, he does it Dick Togo style, of course.
Togo style. What do you think the reaction would be?
Oh, Sammy Guevara.
What would the Twitch reaction streamers be like?
Oh, it's Sammy Guevara.
even the Twitch streamers, huh?
Yeah.
Even the Twitch streamers are underwhelmed. Fair enough. Anyways.
You want to answer some questions, Steve?
Yeah, let's answer some questions. Oh, we put these question threads up for the friendos who are part of the Friendo Club setup. Go to patreon.com/Steven Larson. Click on Friendo Club Setup. It's $5 a month. Or you can click join right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. You get access to our bonus episodes and, of course, also the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. What's the next one we got coming up?
It would be SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
August 3rd.
Hey, look at that. We're number 1, 2, 3, 4th in the search results for our Raw review.
Awesome.
SEO optimization, baby.
There we go.
Anyways.
There we go.
Yeah, so question time.
Oh, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notify bell. Thank you. It's good for the channel, good for us and the algorithm and all that.
All that
SEO, showing up in search results and all that good stuff. Edward Munoz here says, I've seen people compare the Saul Kalani match as being similar to the iconic Ricochet and Ospreay match with a lot of similar praise and criticisms. What are your guys' thoughts on the comparison? There's one sequence that seems to, I don't know for sure, but based on how the sequence of the match was laid out, reference a portion of the Ricochet Ospreay match. I think it was Best of Super Juniors 2016.
So
could have the year a couple years off. I think it's cool. I appreciate when wrestlers reference other matches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know at the time there was a lot of conversation about that Ricochet Ospreay match. Oh, is it even wrestling? Is it just a choreographed tumbling routine at that point? And wrestling, like any art form, there's countless ways to approach it.
Yeah, right.
And it might not be for everybody, but to dismiss it as not being wrestling because it doesn't agree with your definition of it, I don't agree with that. I think having an open mind about what wrestling, professional wrestling can be is at least for me, it's great because I can appreciate things on its own terms. I can appreciate this Ricochet Ospreay match for being an amazing athletic display. You know, just I can appreciate a meticulously paced technical bout that's telling a really good, involving story.
Yeah.
They're both pro wrestling in my mind, just different approaches.
Copy and paste that, brother. I agree with everything you said. Odd Breakfast here says, I saw a little bit of the Rascals in TNA before Wesley MSK was in WWE, but seeing them back together again made me realize how great and goofy, in a good way, chemistry they have. Are there any reunions you'd like to see from other companies? I'd like to see Josh Alexander and Ethan Page confront each other. The North confront each other. I think that'd be cool to see.
Get back together. That's good. That's a good one.
Longest reigning TNA tag champ.
Honor No More. Come on. Where's our Honor No More reunion?
Ed Edwards is Wolf. Yeah, I didn't see what his YouTube numbers were for Ed Edwards as Wolfman.
Wolfman Ed Edwards.
Yeah.
They got to be off the charts.
You'd think they'd be just massive.
Just like it'd be the most viewed video on all of YouTube.
Yeah, it's up there with Chocolate Rain.
DLC here says, do you think with Paige being NXT champ and NXT regularly using Lexus King, that is a good sign to other free agents or soon-to-be free agents that going to NXT first is a good idea or good option?
I wouldn't, if I'm an indie talent, I wouldn't assume that I'm going to be an Ethan Page. Yeah. But I think Pillman Jr. probably, that's a decent litmus.
Obviously, NXT likes Ethan Page. They wouldn't have put the title on him if they didn't appreciate his work and thought he had a lot of upside and has a lot of talent.
Yeah.
You got to think also, hey, people soon to be free agents in AEW, come over here. Look, we'll get you involved at a high level right away. Rather than being on TV for 3 weeks and then sitting catering for a month and a half.
Like everything else, you got to just sort of look at what the landscape looks like, and you got to be honest with yourself in terms of like, who are you? What do you have to offer? They don't have, so they've got the Hardy compound match, the System compound one.
Yeah, that's where he turned to a werewolf, right?
Yeah. But the thumbnail is merely Moose and Matt Hardy. No thumbnail with Ed Edwards
Wolfman.
as Wolfman. Yeah.
Missed opportunity. Who's doing the YouTube over there at Impact?
Big time missed opportunity. Absolutely.
TNA, I should say. They're not Impact anymore. Payday here says, recently saw on Twitter that between 97 and 2022, Meltzer only gave one main roster WB match 5 stars. We're not including NXT. If he had to sit down with Uncle Dave and watch one match during that time period to get him to reconsider, what would it be? End of an era match.
Yeah. End of an era was so damn good. Yeah.
It's surprising that I didn't get 5 stars. Neither of Shawn Michaels' Undertaker WrestleMania matches got 5 stars.
Dude, honestly, and I know he'd probably if he's going to be honest with himself, it was because of what WWE was at the time. I believe that. I mean, it's, it's one guy. We talk about him, but like, I don't know. I kind of get it. Like, companies are known for establishing a certain bar, a certain quality precedent, I guess. And you kind of go along with that. Well, WWE, they're dropping a lot of legitimately 2-star matches back then. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think that it's more difficult to assess matches in a vacuum.
I guess that's one perspective, but I guess another one would be like if for so often they've not emphasized the in-ring product to the same degree as other companies, that when a match is truly spectacular and stands out, it would stand out even more so.
I understand that, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Again, different perspectives.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Roy Costin says, if Drew does a home invasion and Punk/AJ aren't home, what small inconveniences Drew can do to annoy them for when they do get home? Don't say upper decker.
Okay, I won't say it.
Because that's not a small inconvenience. That's disgusting.
It's gross.
I'm going to say leaving the fridge door open.
Oh, all their food's going to get spoiled.
Yeah, that's
potentially expensive inconvenience.
Yeah, with the way groceries are these days,
ridiculously expensive.
I'd still rather spend for an entire thing of groceries than see a poop from another person. That'd be traumatizing.
Not where it's supposed to be. Yeah,
not where it's supposed to be. Even, dude, I'll be honest with you. I'd probably rather spend all that money on groceries than see Drew's unflushed turd.
Oh, what if he clogged their toilet?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's visible turd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Not like he clogged it with just like a whole roll of toilet
No, he
paper.
actually used it and clogged it using it. Yeah.
He went to Chicago, downed like an entire deep dish.
Yeah. Went to Portillo's, got Italian beef.
Unloaded.
Yeah. Went to Mindy's, got like five muffins, ate them all.
Fear and Loathing says, you guys have a rock-solid friendship that just seems unbreakable. That being said, would your friendship be strained at all if your going-in Raw partner said he got you a North American title match against Obafemi? So we're not wrestlers, so I'm going to take that off the board. We have participated in that Wrestle Talk quiz thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I said, hey, I got you a one-on-one match in Quizlemania against who's like their best guy over there
at Wrestle Talk
at the quiz stuff.
I mean, honestly, compared to us, I feel like anybody's better.
Didn't one of them know like everybody that won the G1?
Yeah. Was it Tempest?
Tempest.
Yeah.
Tempest knew everybody in the G1. I mean, that's kind of the equivalent.
No, it'd be as like, hey, Steve, I got you a one-on-one basketball game against a celebrity, someone you're a huge fan of. You're like, oh, really? Who's that? LeBron James.
See, I would love that. I don't think it's like a one-on-one. Well, dude, look, Jeff Van Gundy was able to school LeBron James.
That's not how I saw it.
I love the caption, LeBron James locks down Jeff
Van
Gundy.
I know. They're obviously running through a play of practice. I know. I know.
That's hilarious. See, I think that'd be fun. It's like, oh, man, I'm about to get creamed. I get that. But, like, okay, so like Steph Curry came here to SAC.
Yeah.
And hopped into, like, an indoor
open
game.
run. Yeah, yeah.
And the guy who was defending him, Steph Curry went for, like, a long three and bricked it. He made the next one. But if I'm the guy defending him and Steph just throws something up and it bricks, I'm like, I just defended Steph
That's
Curry.
my defense.
That's because of my defense. LeBron James obviously would roll me to no end. But no, I would love that. That's sort of an apples and oranges thing, though, and as is the quiz thing, though.
Yeah.
Because you're not going up and getting your body absolutely trashed against somebody.
Exactly.
It'd be more like if either of us were, taking kickboxing classes with like no contact, like it's just kickboxing classes against those man dummies.
Yeah, and then
and then I put you in a contest against like Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
Then it's like, why would you? That's fucked up, man.
Yeah. Or if I played like rec league flag football, and then you got me doing like one-on-one drills with Fred Warner.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Wrecked.
Yeah, just wrecked.
Wrecked.
Probably wouldn't appreciate it too much.
Chris Stanton here. Hey, nothing else that makes for a good story. Chris Stanton here says, what grade would you give Jade Cargill's WWE run so far? I mean, she's presented like an absolute star. She's already won a championship. So it's not going to be a low grade.
No, I mean, I'd give it a solid B. Because, like, I mean, honestly, a high-profile sign. I mean, let's be honest. When she came in, they needed to basically, according to reports, and it seems evident from what we've seen, they needed to, like, untrain her and train her on how to wrestle. I have no doubt that her work ethic is off the charts. Her look and presentation, obviously, is a 10 out of 10. But for a signing of that, with the way they promoted that signing, you would think that this person would come in and just start dominating in every aspect. Well, it's pro wrestling. And in this situation, it's a unique situation where they had to, like, get her to figure out, or train her to figure out how the WWE system works.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't really give it an A but then you can't give it as low as a C, because when she's in there, she's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more the kind of thing where in a couple of years, she'll probably be racking up A's for the year that she's had.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the rollout, I think they've done the best job they can in terms of protecting her, I guess, the investment that they've made, not putting her over her head, and rolling her out in a methodical pace that would maximize the impact that she can make. And I think for that, you got to give it at least a B,
mm-hmm.
because they have been effective in that.
Yeah.
But she wasn't ready day one. I have no idea what their expectations were. Maybe they probably expected, okay, well, we know that she's got everything except for the meat of doing wrestling matches. And now we're going to go ahead and get that. So I'd say a solid B.
Yeah, I was going to go somewhere between I guess there is nothing somewhere between a B and B plus, but in that area, a B or a B plus. For all the reasons you said. Dylan here asks, after the Fatal 4-Way ending with Ethan Page, what are the most unique and creative finishes that you guys love to matches? It's when Roman stacked Edge and Daniel Bryan.
Yep, that's the one. That's the one. It was just so completely unexpected. It was. It really was. I think we joked about that first, right?
Because it was mentioned in the build-up.
It was. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Let's see here. Blake Whitehouse, with Blood and Guts and War Games being the only matches that have to alter a show setup, from a ticketing and logistics standpoint, does it make more sense to announce those stipulations in advance and just build a story up to it?
I could see that.
That makes sense.
I could see that.
I mean, yeah, like shoehorning a War Games match into like a WrestleMania seems off the, that you
because
can't
those
do
are
that.
very valuable tickets you can't sell.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Eugene here asks, what do you think is the main crossover event match that all this TNA NXT crossover is leading to. I don't know if there's necessarily a vision, long-term vision with an end goal in mind. I think it's just like, okay, we'll work together, see where it goes, and if this happens, cool. If this happens, maybe this could happen. I would be shocked if there's like a huge crossover event planned, months from now. I'd be pretty surprised. It seems like, hey, let's send some talent across brands and see what comes of it.
I think you're right. I think there probably is like a loose agreement to like, okay, hey, can you send some people for this pay-per-view? Can we, I would imagine a lot of it is just in good faith.
Yeah.
And then they'll reevaluate from time to time. John says, with the WWE documentary using streamers' reactions, which going in Raw clips would you like to offer up to the documentary crew to use for the next for the next project?
Oh, when Otis won Money in the Bank.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When Rhea got DQ'd.
Yeah. It's all negative. That's all. Yeah.
But that's the over-the-top stuff. That's
sort of pissed off.
I only really get
Goldberg
animated when I get angry.
Goldberg beating
Which one?
Brock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was big.
Tymore here asks, if you were Rhea, what immediate changes are you making to the Judgment Day clubhouse? That PS5's got to be out of there.
Seems really distracting.
It does. How can you get down to Judgment Day business when they're too distracted by a PlayStation?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Marquez says, does Joe Hendry getting the victory in a main event involving the world title scene show that WWE isn't treating the partnership with TNA as a one-sided deal? I think it shows that NXT understands that a lot of people believe in Joe Hendry.
Yep.
But until Ed Edwards as Werewolf shows up in NXT, it's still a one-sided deal.
Exactly. Not only that, but Ed Edwards as Werewolf comes to NXT and pins Ethan Page in a tag match.
Wow.
Anything less than that, come on.
And then he dog pees on him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see here. Who is this? Alejandro. Desi Alejandro says, do you think Roman Reigns is going to make his return prior to SummerSlam and face Solo? Do you see the Usos joining Roman in the future?
Yes. To the second part of the question. No, I think he's going to return at SummerSlam because it echoes what happened 4 years ago when he made his return at SummerSlam. And then they got to tell the story of Roman and the Usos reuniting. You just can't have them show up with him one day. There's a lot they have to overcome for that reunion to feel satisfying and to make sense. And you got to tell that story. You got to take time to tell that story. But yeah, for sure, it's got to be, you'd think, good bloodline versus bad bloodline. That's got to be where they're going.
Yeah, but that's going to take some time to get there.
Yep.
Flipstar says, Steve and Larson are producing the biopic of Sid. Who directs the biopic of Sid? And who stars as Sid?
Oh, man, that's tough.
Does Sid's kid look anything like Sid?
A little bit.
Does he?
I don't know if he's 6'9", though, or however tall Sid was supposed to be.
I think everybody in the cast is like human. Sid is portrayed like they do a CG Sid.
All right.
It's like She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sid is CG.
I was going to say Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, that's good.
Who should direct, though? That's really the question.
I mean, it just depends on what sort of flavor you want for the movie. Because I was thinking, okay, what about, you mentioned Chris Hemsworth, what about Taika Waititi? Or whimsical. It's like an Australian or sort of like a New Zealand sense of humor. I'm not sure that's really befitting of Sid. All right, Sid's big, he's loud, he's obnoxious. He is not seemingly as a character, not very self-aware.
Yeah.
What director fits in with that?
You'd think it'd be somebody who does like huge mainstream type movies, then, you know,
like J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like Michael Bay circa 15 years ago probably would have been.
It checks all those boxes there.
Yeah. What if The Rock plays Sid? Wouldn't that be amazing? Because like you saw his transformation as what's his name? Mark, what's that
Yeah,
UFC?
I can't remember the last name,
I
but yeah, I know
forget.
who you're talking about.
Yeah. So like but Rock does that for Sid. He gets like a blonde curly wig. He's like, yeah.
You know, I just want the scene from WrestleMania 13 determined without a doubt whether he pooped his pants.
Who plays Undertaker? We get the guy from Young Rock. That guy will look nothing like the Undertaker at all.
Get Chris Hemsworth's brother, Liam. He's Undertaker.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. You're just you're all in on the Hemsworths.
I guess so. They just pop in my head.
That's good. That's good. Anyways, all the questions I have here.
Same. I think everything else we pretty much covered on the show. So.
All right. Coming up next on Star Trek Enterprise Season 3, Episode 15. Captain Kirk. What? No, Star Trek Enterprise. It's Enterprise, not right. Oh, here we go. Feuding between Lieutenant Reed and Mako leader Major Hayes disrupts Archer and Phlox's investigation of a rescued alien. Also, T'Pol confesses her feelings for Trip. That's coming up next on Star Trek Enterprise. Stay tuned for that. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.